With the wisdom,
Pray for us.
in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
So we are studying the habits and those operational structures added to our person in such a way we can accomplish good action. I hope not only good action easily, rapidly, with efficiency. So we saw that the habit can perfect our intellect and can perfect our appetite, intellective life and appetitive life. And we saw three habits perfecting our intellective life. What intellect, it is the habit of understanding the first principle, the habit of science, and the habit of wisdom. Wisdom is the level of metaphysics, to know things through their ultimate causes. And this morning we have now to study the habit perfecting our appetitive life. So we have one we call the will, the free will, and the other that is intellective. Here they have sensory appetite, sensory appetite. We have irascible, concupiscible, and irascible. So we have to talk about that this morning. So what is the virtue perfecting our intellect in the regard of our action? You remember when we studied St. Thomas, the analysis of St. Thomas of the human act? We saw the role of the intellect and the role of the will in every stage of the free act. And the virtue, what is the virtue? Illuminating you in your deliberation. Illuminating, that is the intellect. Illuminating your intellect. Prudence. Virtue of prudence. The virtue of prudence is a virtue perfecting, helping you to develop the good habit of taking good decision, analyzing correctly the situation, good counsel, prudence. Prudence. Now, what is the virtue? Perfecting the free will.
Justice.
Justice. To take exactly what we have to give to others, to know that, to help us to give to each one is due. Virtue of justice. What is the virtue? Controlling our desiderative appetite. Appetite for pleasure. Temperance. And finally, the virtue controlling our anger, sustaining us in the difficult situation. Fortitude. So now we have to study that in more detail. So the practical intellective habit. The practical intellective habit is expressed in a special way in the heart, in the heart. So we are called to produce two kinds of action. We are maker and we are doer. Maker, we produce, we build the houses, we build many things, we prepare pie for me. And we are doer, we do action, charitable action. We write, we read, we talk, all that. So there is, the art is about the making. When we speak about it, we speak about the making. So what about the making? So the art deals with the right manner of making a thing. What is the difference between somebody who paints at random and the other paint according to the law of the perspective, for example? No? That is the right manner. When we study the piano, you study the right manner of playing the piano. You play the guitar, you study a method. You acquire a method. Okay? And that is linked with your mind. I cannot teach a monkey to play the piano. He will make some noise, but he will not use his mind. When you play the piano, when you play the guitar, when you sing, not only you sing with your mouth, you sing with your mind. A bird, when he sings only with his instinct. It's very limited. But because we have intelligence, so we can produce something which is harmonious. So a characteristic of the art is harmony, beauty, harmony. A harmony implies coordination. When you play, you sing in a choir, 4 voices. You must be in harmony, but you must coordinate. You know? So art is also that capacity of making things with harmony, with coordination, putting together my thought, my way of thinking, and the matter. I am a sculptor. I am Michelangelo. I sculpt David. I put my idea, my thought, into the marble. I am a painter. I took my thought, my emotion, into the painting, the canvas. That is the art. A pianist, when the pianist is playing, or a singer, we see if he is or she is expressing emotion or only like a robot. So we see that in liturgy, for example. We can sing with our heart, or we can sing only because we have to sing. So the art is the incorporation of an idea, the incarnation. It is important for us because art is a great part in the human life. We need beauty, we need harmony. Even if we produce something technical, we want it to be beautiful. For example, a car is the fruit of technology. But at the same time, today, we don't want to make only a car. We want to make a beautiful car. Something with harmony, beauty. Okay? So everyone, in fact, is an artist. Your mother was an artist when she prepared the meal. And when you go to the restaurant, you pay a lot to have a little bit of meat, but it is so well prepared. The art we call that the art in cooking, gastronomy. Gastronomy. The law of eating, the law of preparing a meal. You eat the same steak as your dog, but not the same preparation. When you cook, you put your mind in the meat. You put your mind in the thing you prepare. Do you think your mother is not only working materially, your mother is working with her mind. And when you clean the floor, you use your mind. We call that all material work. Yes, they are material, but always they are made by a human person. Okay? So the highest level of art, in fact, is communicate my thought. Say an artist, and what he is doing, he communicates his thought to the matter. When you write, you are an artist. You put your thought and put that on the paper. If I ask you, present me how we can represent, for example, justice. Well, most of the time, justice is represented by a scale, so or by a woman with a blind and ear. So you present on the paper some idea. What are painters? You go to a museum, you have a kind of idea, a thought, emotion, on the wall, on the canvas. So you inform the matter. So man put his mind in his action. Man puts his mind in his making. Man puts his mind in his doing. Everything we do, everything we make is human. Otherwise, there is no difference between animals. So when we act, we put our mind in that mind. In regard of our action is the virtue of prudence. When you act with prudence. And how we can know that? When you reflect. Remember, conscious, antecedent conscious, consequent conscious. Antecedent conscious, you reflect before an action. That is virtue of prudence. So what is prudence? It's a permanent intellectual quality that enables to judge, to calculate about the action to be taken. And the virtue of prudence is not only for spiritual matter. Virtue of prudence is good for a businessman, is good for a cook, is good for anyone who is doing an action. Before doing an action, before making something, we must reflect. And we must acquire the habit of reflecting. Sometimes people, they do, after that they reflect. It's too late. The virtue of prudence is to think before. And that is important because there is no moral act without reflecting. That means in every moral act there is prudence. You know, in the Old Testament, when we want to express a man is a holy man, he is a very special man, a man of God, we say he is justus et prudens. Saint Joseph was justus, just, and prudence. What is that? What faculty justice, just? The will? What faculty prudence? Intellect. In fact, a wise man, a holy man, because in the Old Testament, never we say a man is holy. We say a man is just. A man is prudent and just. Never we say, only God is holy. Okay? So prudence is preparing us to make a right choice, and that right choice is for action. So we cannot act correctly without prudence. So prudence must inform all our action. Prudence must inform all virtue. There is no virtue without prudence. You know, we can say prudence is informing all virtue. Why? Because every action we must do, we have to use our intellect and our will. So we can say that justice and temperance are necessary for any moral action. They inform. I cannot be temperate, I cannot be strong if I don't respect, I'm not prudent. Somebody who is temerary, is not prudent, but he can kill someone, he can be killed, he has a lack of prudence, a lack of reflection. And when you study catechism, first to prepare your communion, what is a sin? What are the conditions to commit a sin? Well, an object, an object. Secondly, reflection and full consent. Reflection, full consent. That means you must be prudent and just.
Quick question, Father. Let's say you have a person who sees a man kill someone, and he doesn't act on it, he doesn't report it, but he doesn't get involved either to try to help that other man. So obviously he's like just pacifist in a sense.
But that,
What is that? I mean, what
no, that is casuistic.
is
That-
what?
Casuistic.
Oh,
You take
okay.
a case, but to apply, in fact, what we know the general principle, we apply that to a special case. In that case, man, he will have a lack, maybe he is too prudent, too much prudent, or he will lack of justice, a lack of fortitude. In fact, those two virtues, prudence and the will, are sustaining all the rest of the virtue. We can see the foundation of all the virtuous life is based on justice and prudence. That means you have to use your intellect and you have to use your free will. All the rest is based on that. So every act, that is important for ethics. When you study ethics, you study that. Okay? And we call that cardinal virtue. Why we call prudence, justice, temperance, and fortitude cardinal virtue? Well, the word cardinal in Latin is cardo. And cardo is an hinge. You know what is an hinge? Huh? They are the support of the door. Hinges. Here there is 1, 2, 3 hinges. Huh? So by comparison, the theologian or philosopher, they say, if we consider the virtue like a door, the 4 virtues sustaining all the rest are prudence, justice, temperance, and fortitude. In fact, they are the 4 general virtues. All the other virtues enter in those one of the 4 categories, of virtue. So judge correctly about action to them. That is antecedent conscience. We have to judge antecedent conscience. And after, consequent conscience. What is the most important? Antecedent conscience or consequent conscience? Consequent after or antecedent. What is the conscience which determines the value of your action?
Antecedent.
Antecedent. Conscience after is examined. It is done. It is done. It is better to reflect before than after. After we appreciate we did that. Sometimes when we speak about conscience, we are inclined to say consequent conscience, examination of conscience. Examination of conscience is already done when we reflect about the action we are going to do. So a man who practices regularly reflection before acting is developing an ability to take right decision, and that ability is called prudence. Prudence is that ability we acquire through exercise by reflecting on action we are going to do. And that we develop that. When you were 10 years old, I'm sure, you reflect less on what you are going to do than now. Normally, we are surely more mature. A thing of maturity is prudence. That means that the ability, natural, to reflect, to think before acting. Well, fathers speak about jurisprudence. I will not insist on that. We are called, each one, we are called to use prudence because everyone among us, a day or another day, we will be in charge of people. As a teacher, as a priest, as a superior, as a social worker, as a nurse, etc. So we use prudence, especially in counseling. To counsel, to give a good advice, you must use prudence. Okay? So our imprudence are directly concerned with the deliberating. When I want to do art is to produce something. So when I have to produce something, I have to deliberate. Nobody begin a master work in art without reflecting. When Mr. Michelangelo was asked by the Pope to sculpt Moses, he has first to reflect what kind of marble he will use and what kind of representation of Moses. An artist does not act at random. Of course, sometimes that happens. I have that in my document. I think it's in Denmark. They took a monkey and they taught the monkey how to hold a brush. And they put something and the monkey began to brush. And they presented that to a competition for painting. People say, oh, wonderful. In fact, it is to mock critics of paint. It's very, very interesting, but it's not a real art. The art must express something. Art is the fruit of reflection, like technology. Art and technology are the fruit of thinking, of prudence, and the will. Both, because we cannot begin and act or begin something without will. When you play the piano, it's not only a question of intelligence, it's a question of will. And those who know how to play music, they know how it's not easy sometimes. Huh? You have to practice. The same to learn English. You have to practice. It's the same to learn philosophy of men. Huh? Yes. But intellect and the will go together. Huh? Prudence and Justus. Huh? Prudence, an adult is a prudent man and is a just man. That means he has a strong will. Huh? To be just means to have a strong will for the good. Okay. So, yes.
Say it wasn't a monkey, but a person was painting, and they took the same steps. They didn't really reflect what they were doing, but just kind of throwing paint on.
Sometimes they want to present something representing nothing, if you want. It is a current in the 19th, after the war, before the war, to create painting without any representation. But, you know, I remember I was in Ottawa in the museum, National Museum, and there was a kind of painting like that, you know. You can put like that, or like that, or like that, there is no difference. And the women, there were two women, they were like that, turning like that. And they were laughing, because they did not find any meaning in the painting. And that cost millions of dollars. Okay. What makes the value of an action, for any action for human? The value makes if the action is thought, if there is a reflection, and secondly, if there is also will. I am responsible. I can say that statue was made by Michelangelo. He is the one who will do that. Not only he did, but he will. Okay. Prudence is necessary for the development of the personality. We cannot have a personality adult without developing the habit of prudence. Now, a word that is for intellective, a word about now the appetitive habit. So the first appetitive habit, it is the will, rational appetite, rational appetite, the will. Well, we studied that in the precedent chapter. So, what is the formal object of the will? You remember, ut natura, it is the universal good, the universal good, the perfect good, the good without any limit. Okay? In that we are tending naturally toward the good. And in fact, it is because we tend naturally toward the good that ut libera, as free, with auto-determination, we can choose some little good, some aspect of good. Okay? So to choose is a very important act in human life. Because how you know you will? You express your act of will through a choice, no? Nobody can see your act of will. I cannot see your act of will. Well, I can see your act of will when you choose to do something, we do something. For example, suppose you have the possibility to watch a movie or to watch a football. If you decide to see the movie or to watch the movie or to participate in the football game through television, but that is the fruit of your choice. So to will is to choose. So we have to develop the ability to do the right choices. Now, if I am a businessman, if I make a mistake, I say, hey, I lost that $20,000. I have not to be careful not to repeat the same thing, you know. So I have to do the right choice. And those who go in religious life, they have to make the right choice. And those who get engaged into marriage, they must do the right choice, you know. That is human life. But to do that, we must be prepared. We must develop the habit of making the right choice. What is the object of the will? It is the good. So it is, I make a right choice when I chose the good. And the one, if it is the best for me, or the one I decided that it was the best for me, you know, auto-determination. So the virtue of justice is necessary. Why? Because justice, it is to give each one is due. Justice is not for me. Justice is for others. Of course, it is for me also. Love yourself. But justice, love yourself is not too difficult. What is difficult is to love others. In fact, the virtue of justice, I can say, is a virtue regulating our relation. Our relation. Because we are a being of a relation. We are in relation with ourselves, principle of identity, A is A. We are in relation with above us, with God. And we are in relation with our equal, others. And we are in relation with the nature, with the world, with the universe. So justice is a virtue regulating and controlling our relation with others. And when we control our relation with God, we call that virtue of religion. If I take care of the other, it can be many. It can be benevolence, it can be charity, it can be, but essentially give to each one is due. Justice. And finally, justice in regard of the world. That means I must respect the world. We call that today ecology. Ecology is a branch of justice. Branch of justice. I have the duty as responsible of the matter because I have the only one intelligent being able to control nature. So it is the duty of justice to respect nature and to respect nature for others. So necessity of man to develop justice, to develop that habit to give each one his due. That means to be attentive to others. Because by nature we are selfish. When I eat for myself first. I don't say I eat because I need to eat, you know. When I sleep for myself. But I must always, in my relation with others, to think that I have a duty. Duty. What is duty? It is to give each one his due. And that is the virtue of justice. We cannot acquire that naturally. We must develop that. That is probably the most difficult thing, is to develop the virtue of justice. Because we have a tendency to to protect myself, to take care of myself, self-interest, selfishness. And the virtue of justice says, no, give to each one what is due to each one. So it is a virtue opening man to others. And that virtue must be practiced, must be developed. I must acquire the ability of opening myself to others. So the habit of justice enables the will to choose, excuse me, value, that view the self in communion with others. In fact, justice is linked with our social dimension. We are essentially social. The chuck make me cough this morning. So justice is essentially a social virtue. To practice justice in the regard of God, religion. I give to God what is due, adoration, thanksgiving. I give to others what is their due. They need me. We are in society, we have to share, pay our taxes with a smile. And we have to be careful of the whole world. I continue. In a manner that recognizes others as the subject of rights as person. In fact, justice is recognized, is the recognition of the right of others. If I have a duty, it is because the other has a right. When you study socialytic, and yeah, it is advertising from my last second semester, we see that every right is accompanied with a duty. For example, you have the right to sleep, and the other has the right to listen to radio, to music. So there is sometimes conflict of right. Suppose it is 11 at night and you want to sleep, and your brother in the other room put his music full at the top. There is a conflict of rights. You have to respect the right. Your brother must respect the right you have to sleep. And for that we have laws, or rule, regulation. So those regulations are there to help us to practice justice. Otherwise, it will be a big. Suppose there is no law for quietness during the night. Many people will not sleep well. No? So the role it is to develop, to open our will, perfect my will, to the good, to the good of others. That is the justice. What is the definition? Father gave that. Justice is the habit of the will, is perfecting the will, by which the will is facilitated in choosing its value in an unselfish manner. I choose in an unselfish manner, providing for its own needs, but respecting the needs and the right of others. That is a complete definition. You have all the elements are there. It is a synthesis. So what is the formal? What is the form of justice? In fact, it is duty. It is the duty to give each one his due. It's a virtue. Inclining your will to give each one his due. So is it necessary? But it is necessary for a full and developed mature personality. It cannot be mature if we are not just. Because if I'm not just, I am selfish. What is the characteristic for children, of babies? Selfishness. By nature, a child is not inclined to share. Remember when you were 3, 4 years old, 5 years old, and you have something to you, and you did not want your brother to get. You say, it's my doll, don't play with my doll. And there are many sisters in the same family, each one has his doll and don't want to. That's mine, mine. So we are learning now to say not mine, but ours, all you are. That's the virtue of justice, okay? So the will is not a priori order to seek authentic and unselfish good. Of course, if I was in theology, I will add something here. I will say that is a consequence of original sin. But in philosophy, I cannot speak about that. But it is a fact that if you look at anybody, when we are young, we have a tendency to grasp for us, not to share. And when your child are sharing, hey, it's a special child. You receive candies at his birthday, chocolate, and you say, "Oh, do you want chocolate?" That is very rare. No, the tendency is, "Oh, it's my chocolate. Don't touch them. Put that there. Don't touch them." And they count 1 to 12 chocolate. Don't touch them. My brother, my sister, my smile. But not justice is the opening. Okay. It is an habitual ordering, disposition of choosing, making choose in regard of the common good. The common good. That is idea. We stay again in philosophy, socialytic, the common good. In society, but is what unites all people is a common good. So everyone has the duty to practice justice, to open himself to the common good. So you can need that. It is a need for justice because the will have to. The will needs to be influenced by the needs of others. In fact, justice makes me attentive to the needs of others. Of course, many times we cannot do that by ourselves. So we are helped by the laws. And the laws in the country, they say, hey, think about, you are rich, think about those who are poor. So there is a need, we need to develop an ability to be attentive to others. That ability to be attentive to others, to give others what they need, that is justice. That somebody will, hey Father, that is charity. No, it's not charity. Because it is a due. For example, today we say the rich country, when they help develop a country in progress, if they don't practice charity, they practice justice. Like in a family, if you have a big brother very rich and the other are poor, it's a duty of justice. Charity is based first on justice. If there is no justice, there is no charity. I give you an example of that. Before the union existed, usually the salary was very, very low. But at Christmas, they have a good boss because at Christmas, the boss gave every employee a big turkey. He's a good boss. Yes, he practiced charity at Christmas, but he didn't practice justice. So justice is the foundation. If there is no justice, there is no charity. In the Bible, we say charity, love, and justice embraced. We cannot separate charity from justice. No?
So, Father, is it justice if your poor relatives refuse to work? Are you just to give
But
them?
see, I refuse to work. That is not justice. It's a vice we call laziness.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, we cannot say, those who don't work, they are lazy. Okay. And so an authentic person, an adult, what is the characteristic of an adult? It is the openness to others. And it is when somebody is able to open to others that he can marry. A marriage must be made between two persons who are adult. What is the word adult? Alter. Open to others. An adult is someone who is open to others. So when you marry, you are not marrying for your interest, for the interest of the other, the common interest. That is to be an adult. And it is the reason why justice is so important. So justice is the foundation of social life, and there is no love without justice. So love, of course, goes beyond justice. But there must be justice first. I can, for example, you go to a station, gas station. Well, it is not a self-service. So you have a boy, and the boy fills your tank. Well, suppose you have to pay $30. But usually what you do, you give $31, $32 to $50. A tip. That tip is not justice, it is charity. So, but charity goes beyond justice. That means you have to pay first your $30 of gas. After that, you give a tip. No. Okay? That means charity is based on justice. If there is no justice, there is no charity. Okay? Now, the sensory appetite. So we saw justice is perfecting our will by choosing things good and opening us to others. It is the way we grow. We grow through the practice of justice. Now we grow also in controlling our appetite. An adult, a person adult, must be able to control his or her appetite. And the first is the irascible appetite. Huh? No, excuse me, concupiscible appetite. Or desiderative appetite. Or we call that today's drive. Huh? So it is an attraction towards something good. What is the characteristic of that? It is the pleasure. Huh? Tendency toward pleasure. Not only towards something useful, but something pleasant. Huh? And pleasure is a reality in human life. We cannot suppress pleasure. Pleasure is a motive for action. For example, when you eat, if it was horrible, maybe it will be good for your health, but it's horrible for your taste. Will you eat it? So when we prepare good meal, juicy meat, like it is said in the Bible, juicy meat and good wine, because the pleasure is provoking us to do something. It's the same in sexuality, you know. So when there is pleasure, there is as we say, a natural motive to act. If you don't like a kind of music, you don't we don't listen to that. We listen what we like. No. So that is a reality in our life. Pleasure is a motor of action. Pleasure is a motor of action. And that is important in education. Interest, make interest the children, interest them. So what can provoke their motivation? Advertising is based on that. What can motivate people to buy that kind of cereal, that kind of chocolate, that kind of chips, that kind of soap? And they try to convince you, not through intellectual ideas, but through the appearance of happiness, of pleasure. You see people, they are happy, they smile, and they have a good Heineken. Therefore, Heineken is the cause of pleasure. Therefore, if I want to be happy, I have to buy Heineken. No? That is the psychology. Huh?
Amen.
So, so we must be aware of that. But we must control. Otherwise, what will happen? We'll be the slave of our tendency to our pleasure. And we will do only what we like. Unfortunately, in our modern education, unfortunately, it is a little bit. The children sometimes they do only what they like, and when they are adult, they continue to do only what they like. And they are not adult, because an adult is someone who is able to control his emotion, control his tendency. What makes a man? It is the intellect and the free will, auto-determination. Okay? So to develop the control of my drives toward pleasure, tendency toward pleasure, is the habit of temperance. Temperance means moderation. Moderation. Just middle. Not too much, not enough. Just in the middle. Okay? In fact, virtue is in the middle. That makes me think about an old teacher 60 years ago. He taught us what is the middle in virtue. He said, you know, the middle is not here. The middle is here. The middle is not mediocrity. That means we must be the middle between two excesses, but at the same time go to the top. Give the best we. It's not passivity. The middle is activity. For example, the middle is not to intervene between two problems. It is to find a solution. To go always improve. The virtue is not only static. The virtue is dynamic. Like your personality must grow up to the end of your life. Otherwise, you will regress. That is the problem. Some people, they are old, they regress. they become children. They become selfish. We say in French, they retourne en enfance, they come back to their childhood. So if we don't advance, we regress. It's like in bicycle. When you go in bicycle, if you stop, what will happen? You will fall. So that is important. In the domain of virtues, of habit, we must never stop. We have to always to progress, to work, to develop our virtue, our habit. It's the same for the piano. It's about, since I am here about 15 years, I did not play. Well, of course I can, but I'm not ready to play because I did not practice for 15 years. It's the same if you learn a language and you don't practice for 50 years, you lose your language. So it is important to develop our control, the control. So what is the consequence of that virtue is the control. Control my sense appetite, I control, but that control cannot be natural. It is acquired. No baby, no children is born with an innate, inbuilt control. A child wants always to have more and more and more chocolate, up to be sick. There is no limit. There is no limit. Okay. We know there is a limit because little by little we reflect on our appetite and we can master more and more our appetite. Temperance restrains the influence of sense appetite. That is important. The sense appetite, you have very powerful, one of the most powerful is sexuality. It's very, very powerful. So we have to control our appetite. And those who don't control their appetite, they cause problems, not only for themselves, but for the society. For example, those who don't control their appetite in drinking. You look at the problem, those who are drunkards, it's horrible, alcoholic. And the master of those who are addicted to drugs, for example, it's a lack of mastering. You have to master, okay, to control. In fact, when I control, I practice, I develop my will, because will is essentially auto-determination, self-mastering. Okay. Now, so what is the virtue of temperance? Further defined. A permanent quality of the concupiscible appetite that facilitates measure and control. Two words, measure and control. So when you are able to do something with measure, for example in music, if you play always fortissimo, suppose I teach here, I cry all the time. Saint Thomas said that. Nobody understands. We have to avoid the two extremes. Sometimes it's important for preachers, some teachers. Either they speak too low, or they speak too high. You have to speak in the middle. And to vary also. In music, what is beautiful in music? You have fortissimo, you have pianissimo. We control. An artist is the one who controls his art. Like when you control the language when you speak another language. That is art. Art is control. And what is a man the control of his appetite, of his sensation. We cannot control my sensation, but I can control the object of my sensation. I can put aside. And the irascible appetite now. Irascible appetite is perfected by the virtue of fortitude. So the formal object of that virtue is what is difficult. The difficulty is to be able to face difficult situations. It is because the arduous good. The good which is difficult to attain. A good difficult to attain. So we have to fight, we have to make effort You have to be strong. It's the virtue of with strength, fortitude. Fortitude, fortis in Latin means strong. The same thing, strong or fortis. Okay? So that virtue is expressed, for example, through patience, through determination. Perseverance. Perseverance is a virtue attached to fortitude. So fortitude, perseverance. That is a virtue very rare today. We are, for example, adolescents, they like to do something 1 week, 2 weeks, every week during the year. Well, really, Boy Scout. Someone among you are Boy Scout or guide, no? What is the difficulty for a Boy Scout? To go to the meeting every week. What is difficult for a Catholic? To go to Mass every Sunday. Every Sunday. What is difficult for a worker? To wake up every morning. Perseverance. It is easy to begin, it's difficult to finish. It's interesting when you say the Hail Mary. What do you say? Pray for us sinners now and the hour of our death. What is that? It is to obtain the grace of perseverance. Many enter in my novitiate we were 35, and now continuing religious life we are only 5. You know, perseverance. How many they married? How many they divorced after? Perseverance. Perseverance is the virtue of fortitude. Okay? That is developed by effort, by action, by reflection on my action, by effort. Okay? If I was in a spirituality, I would say also prayer and sacrament, but it's not my domain. My domain. But only at the natural point of view, we can develop. And even those who are atheists, or those who are agnostic, those who are pagan, they have the virtue of fortitude. They need that. To be a military, if you go to the army, you must be strong. You must have the virtue of fortitude. If you are not the virtue of fortitude, don't enter military, don't enter priesthood, don't enter religious, don't enter marriage, enter in nothing. Because in every stage of life, you need fortitude. We have to develop our, what is that? It's the force, the strength of the character. You know, we cannot reduce education only to instruction. That was the mistake of Socrates. Socrates reduced education, like in English, education means instruction. He said, if we want to change the youth, the young men of Athens, to make them virtuous, we have to teach them virtue. I can teach virtue and law, and it's not enough. Someone, they will practice justice. Someone, they will use their knowledge of law to practice injustice. That means education is nothing if there is no participating of the will of the student, of the child. That is the big difficulty. The biggest challenge of the parent is here. The parents, they want their child be pious as they are. They go to Mass every Sunday. They want their children go to Mass, but you know, they will not go to Mass only because the father wants you to go to Mass. You have to go to Mass by yourself. Oh, it is, in fact, the challenge, it is the formation of auto-determination. In fact, the formation of the will, if that is not given by instruction. People know the law, but they don't practice the law.
How do you give it?
And that is the problem. So we have to work on motivation, you know, create motivation. But we cannot, it's the same for me.
Well, what did we do back when you were, that we don't do now, or what do we?
But
What
you
did we
know,
stop doing or what did we stop
for example,
doing?
in my education, my parent, gave us very when we were very young, we have responsibilities. For example, on the farm, I thank God because since the age of 4 or 5, I went all my vacation on the farm with my uncle. I was living in Montreal, but during the summer, go with the cows and the hens. But that I think about that today. When you have a child, 5-year-old, 6 years old, he open the barrier for the cows, close the barrier, avoid the ball, and all that develop a sense of responsibility. At 8, 9, you have a responsibility today they don't have at the age of 14. And that form you from the character. You take a responsibility. If you make a mistake, then you are punished, and you say, hey, be careful. You reflect and you develop. You know, it's important for me to give responsibility to children. When I was teaching in primary school, I tried to give every my student some responsibility. Well, here you take all the paper on the floor. It is your job. You clean the half of the wall. you do that. You open the window, close the window. Everyone has it's a responsibility, and they were proud of that, and that developed their character. In fact, to develop the will is to give children responsibility. If they have no responsibility, they will not become responsible. And they will not be able to take their own decision. They don't develop the virtue of fortitude. The virtue of fortitude, the strength of character, comes from experience. Those experience is to take responsibility. Okay? For example, in Africa, you see the mother in the field working, and the little girl, 6 years old, carrying almost the whole day the last baby. Imagine you are 6 years old, 7 years old, and you don't play with a doll. You play with a real doll. So what develop a sense of responsibility. They are mature at the age of 12, at 10, because they are used to take responsibility, a serious responsibility. Imagine to carry their little brother, maybe 6 months, 7 months. Today, who will dare to do that? If you do that, he will call 911. Suppose you go to the market and you see a little girl, 6 years old with a baby. Hey, 911, that is. And they do that, and they develop their responsibility. Yes, brother.
Father, my cousin, same exact thing happened with her. You know, she was taking care of her youngest sibling at 10, literally trained her like the mother. So when my cousin hits the age of 15, she became a mother herself. So there wasn't really time for her to develop during that. So, I mean, how does a child, how are they able to separate the responsibility, I guess?
I don't know. Well, what I can say that, you know, okay, we cannot give every child the responsibility so great that to carry a boy, a baby.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But we can give the responsibility to clean the floor, to have a little garden. And with my grandmother, we work in the garden and take off the weed. I did not like that, but I formed a character. I would prefer to play in the field with my cousin. No, I have to. She was there, so I have to work with her. That develops the character. Give responsibility. For example, in a family, suppose the mother wants a perfect house. What she will do everything herself. But she wants to educate her children. She say, okay, you will clean the floor then. You know how to do, and you do that. And she gave responsibilities. Otherwise, they look at their mother. After that, they don't appreciate first what the mother does because they did not do that. A good example of that is the Kennedys, the family Kennedy. You know, Kennedys, the father was millionaire. They were millionaires. But the father said to the boy, you will earn your money. I will not give money. So the John Kennedy and the other, what they did, they knocked at the door everywhere in Ironsport, Cape Cod, to find a job, to cut the grass. And they worked their money with that. Why? The father wanted that his children acquire the sense of responsibility. Okay?
But then they quit working and became politicians.
Okay, now habit and education. Next paragraph. Habits are essential in the development of youth. In fact, with this formation of a child, making a child passing from childhood to adulthood is to make him acquire a habit. But be careful, by himself. If it is the habit of the father or of the mother, that is not a habit. When the father is no more there, when the mother is no more there, the habit stops. That is very, very important. Habit must be the fruit of your own reflection and your own decision. Of course, your father can push you, but as long as you don't will by yourself to do that, you will not do that. As long as a child does not go to Mass by himself, he is not motivated by himself to go to Mass, he will endure to go to Mass, but the day he will be 18 is finished. Education is there. Formation, the real formation, because education is not only to teach, it is to form the character. Habit, the acquisition of habit. Why? Because we build a personality through the acquisition of habit. Well, I told that. Your mother dreams that you become a great pianist or a great violinist. And she pays a lesson to you, to the teacher. So you practice. But you don't like that, you prefer to play football, okay? And when you play, you see your comrade playing the... Finally, when you are 18, finish the violin. Let us go playing football. Because you are not motivated by yourself. It's the same for religious vocation. It is the vocation of your mother. As long as your mother will live, you will be faithful. The day your mother left, it's funny, you lose your vocation. That is not another invention that I told you is true. It's true. It's the reason why when we make a discernment for vocation, we will be sure it is not the vocation of the mother. Because sometimes we saw the complex of it. Sometimes we continue to be a child even when we are an adult. And we want to please our parent. The first parent to please is our Father in heaven. Okay. So, you can read the text. The acquiring of intellective habit perfects the dependence on the sensory mode. That means the more you develop your habit, the more you control your dominion on the world. You dominate the world. You control food, you control pleasure, you control all those things, sport, and you have a control. So you can read that text by yourself. In fact, if I acquire willingly by myself, because habit must be volunteer, I cannot stop. When I want to acquire something, I should be never satisfied. For example, a pianist should be never satisfied. You learn English, sister, or brother. You should be never satisfied. I am never satisfied. I study English for many years. Every day I learn new words. Every day I am confronted to translate new expression. We never finish. In spirituality, it is the same. And we arrive to do that now, not with difficulty, but with facility. It is the more we will to practice, the more we practice, the more it is easy, and the more it is interesting. We like that more and more. Why? Because it becomes easy. So the more you speak English, the more it becomes interesting. I hope. No? Yes, you say, no, I can talk. They understand me. Oh, wonderful. I can read without a dictionary. No? It is the same for any kind of virtue. When you say, I was not able to control my anger, now I can be mild and gentle like Jesus. No? That is a habit. It should be a source of pleasure also. Not pleasure, always sensible, but enjoyment, satisfaction. That means I can control on myself. I can control an instrument. I play that music. I know philosophy. I can talk about philosophy without having my notes. I can answer a question to someone, discuss at table. You know, there is a facility, habit imply as a result the facility and the enjoyment also. The enjoyment. Even something difficult, you can do that with enjoyment. Okay? So the acquisition of habit necessitates memory. There is no habit without memory. Why? Because when you want to progress, you have to watch to see what you did before, no? That the importance of reflection on the past, the importance of memory. Okay? The acquisition of habit also increase your freedom. The more you acquire a habit, the more you are free to do something. When you know a language, it is easier for you to speak the language than before. So we acquire a kind of freedom in the usage of the language. You can choose your word. If I know only one word, I am not able to choose. But if I know that I can say the same thing in 1, 2, 3, 4 manner, I enjoy more freedom. In every habit, in fact, the habit it is to make men free. When you begin to drive a car, you remember that the first time, you were absorbed only by the clutch, but now you drive, you talk. Like Homer Simpson, you drive like that. It is something easy. You know, you are liberated, you are free. You can do other things. You can drive at the same time, you can listen to the radio, we have a good conversation with others. We are not absorbed by the action we do. In fact, that is the advantage of habit. Okay? Habits also are necessary for the development of the personality. Self-determination, self-deliberation, maturity. There is no maturity, there is no mature person without the acquisition of the habit, especially the habit of the intellect and the habit of the will. As long as you don't have those habits, you are not an adult. If you cannot reflect, you have no wisdom, you are not an adult. An adult, a personality developed, it is a personality, is able to practice justice, prudence, fortitude, temperance. If you practice that, you will practice also the other virtues, depending on that. For example, if you are temperate, you will practice chastity. You will practice sobriety, etc. Okay, I go down. The education and the acquisition of habit are inseparable. I spoke about that. So, the harmonious development comes through the acquisition and the development of habit. So that is very important that the parents be present to their children. When the children grow alone, it's difficult to acquire the same habit that when the mother is present to the child. So that presence is very important. That does not mean you speak all the time, but only, you know, we help people not only by our word, by our example. In fact, the parent, the educator, must be the model. You know the importance today of the model in fashion.
Oh yeah.
People, they buy dress, they buy coat, they buy suit because there is a model, an actress or a sportsman, you know, and we try to imitate, especially children, we do that. The model, and the model is very, very important. And when we teach, when you preach, when you are in authority, don't forget, by function, you are a mother. If you are a mother, you are the model of your children. If you are a father, you are the model of your children. You have the reference. The child, his reference is not the father of his friend. The first reference, it is his own father. But if there is no father at home, or if there is no mother, or very rare, You know, the child is formed not only by the word the people said, it's born by the example, imitation. I give you an example of that. A day, I went to visit one friend, so I arrived at the home. I say, oh, very happy. It is boy sharp. Before his father arrived to me, he ran to me, he took my hand, he shook my hand. He said, do you want a beer? No, he took me to the refrigerator. He opened the refrigerator and said, do you want a beer? In fact, what was doing? He was imitating his father. That is true. What I say is exactly. I was astonished. He did exactly what his father. His father was a model. So for him, I was a new visitor. So he wanted to have my affection, my friendship. So he took me, go to the kitchen, open the door, and say, "Do you want to?" The extreme importance of the parents as model. A painting, an artist, we say a man is an artist, but an artist as a model. What is the model of a child? Is his father, his mother. What is the model of a student, his teacher? Excuse me, I'm not a beautiful model. A priest in the parish is a model of a student. We are a priest in the parish, or we have a nun in the convent or in the school. It is a great, great responsibility. Because you form, the children acquire habits not only because you tell them, but more because you do that. You can say to the child, oh, go to mass, but you don't go. So you have to practice what you say. That chapter is very interesting. Many implications. Okay, so the liberal education, formation, professional studies, you can read it by yourself, philosophy, and habit and freedom. So I spoke about that already. How habit make you free? The virtues make you free, but the vices make you slave. A bad habit may enslave you, but virtue free you. Okay, have a good weekend. So I will meet you soon. It's a friendly seminarian in my office. Sister here.
Yes.
Where is my paper?
Cho paper.
Em phải 9 giờ 20 không hay là em?
9 giờ 20.
Everyone apply? Okay. Don't be afraid.